Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominique Jones. I'm the Executive Director for Global Kids. We are a emerging national nonprofit serving kids in New York City as well as Washington, D.C. In New York, we serve approximately 14,000 young people in New York City public schools. And I'm so pleased today that we could bring some of our young people to the table today. I'm always thrilled when I see my young people seeing other young people doing this type of activism because it really inspires them and it has them take this back to their communities so that they know that they can really affect change, not just in their communities and the world. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing someone who has become a great friend to our organization, our Assemblymember, Emérita Torres. And she is, come with me. I think of her as not just the daughter of the Bronx, the daughter of the New York City, but really a true global citizen who is really helping our city, our state be better and do better, particularly for our young people. She has had a distinguished career. I won't go through all of it, but I encourage you to find her bio. But she has served 10 years in the diplomatic corps. She's worked in policy for one of our most revered policy institutions, Community Service Society here in the city, and now she serves in the New York State Assembly, where we have young people that are in her district. And we're just so pleased that she could introduce our panel today and our young people. So I want to just thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Dominique. Is this on? Yes? Okay. Can you hear me? Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dominique, for that wonderful introduction and all the work you do in New York City public schools to introduce our young people to the world. My name is Emérita Torres. I'm proud to be an Assembly member in the New York State Legislature. I represent a district, District 85, which is about 8 miles from Midtown Manhattan, where we are. I want to quickly thank Global Kids, Rise Up, Peace Boat US, Blue Planet Alliance, BioOcean State Initiative, and Mobilize for hosting us today and for bringing this event to life. I also want to thank our young people, especially for being here, because your voices are critical to this conversation. So today's program would not be possible without combining collaboration and vision, local and global, and bringing young people, educators, and leaders together to share local perspectives that will shape our global collective future. UNGA 80 and Climate Week this week represent unique opportunities for countries large and small, and neighborhoods and communities as well in New York to shape the outcomes of collective action on some of the most important challenges that we face as global citizens, including climate change. Ongoing wars, conflict, migration, poverty are just some of the challenges that are in front of us that require innovative solutions. But what I'm really excited about for today's discussion is that we're bringing local conversations and perspectives as well as youth into the conversation, which isn't involved enough. So before I was elected into the Assembly, I served over a decade as a diplomat just across the street, including at our U.S. mission to the UN. And if someone asked me if a Puerto Rican girl who grew up in the South Bronx could be a diplomat, I wouldn't even know what that career was about or stood for. And that's unfortunate because of the fact that we are just the Bronx and most of the outer boroughs are just a couple of miles from here. And they don't really know what's going on and what's happening. So I'm really, really appreciative for organizations like Peace Boat US, Global Kids, for bringing us into the conversation, for bringing the other boroughs into the conversation that happens here in Midtown Manhattan every year in September. Diplomacy should be a very popular career path for New Yorkers, but sadly it's not. So I'm here to tell you that it should be, regardless of your zip code, your race, your gender, your ethnicity, your income. We are all a part, whether you're a diplomat or not. You are a diplomat because you're representing your community, you're representing where you are. So I think it's really, really important that we're all here. These experiences in the diplomatic corps taught me that diplomacy succeeds only when it reflects the realities of the people most affected by global challenges and when their voices shape the solutions, which is why we're here. I really strongly support Global Kids and their mission to educate, inspire, and mobilize young people, because when youth are given opportunities to share ideas through experiences like this event here at the UN, it's critical. It's critical to shape the narrative and the future of the conversation. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the experiences I've had in my district when it comes to the SDGs, particularly 13 and 14. So life below water and climate change really affects us in the Bronx and across New York City. Just a few miles from here in my district, I represent, in part, a fairly large coastal community. We have higher flood risks, including storm surge, sea level rise, and rain inundation, as we hug both the East River, like right across the way, and also the Bronx River. And for generations, the 24-mile-long Bronx River, New York City's only freshwater river, has been central to life in our borough. However, decades of neglect and over-industrialization turned the river into a toxic dumping ground. Industrial waste, sewage, and pollution destroyed what was once a thriving ecosystem, forcing residents to stay away. But in the 1970s, our community in the Bronx decided that we weren't going to accept that fate. Activists, students, local leaders, like those sitting here at the table, came together to clean up the river, to test water quality, and to push for stronger protections. These efforts prove that when a community organizes, including young people, real change is possible. What started as a small grassroots cleanup grew into a powerful environmental justice movement that continues today. By the late 1990s, it became clear that community efforts alone were not enough. Dozens of organizations, school leaders, government agencies joined forces to take the cleanup to the next level. The Bronx River Working Group formed in 1997, bringing together more than 60 partners committed to restoring the Bronx River. This collaboration led to the creation of the Bronx River Alliance in 2001, a wonderful nonprofit that is in my district, an award-winning innovative organization that is the collective voice and caretaker for the river, ensuring long-term support for the river and for the Bronx. The movement expanded beyond cleanups. We've transformed trash dumps and abandoned industrial areas into parks and trails along the full length of the river. It runs from not just my district, but all the way up to Westchester County. Today, we can paddle along and enjoy a river in our community that was once so toxic it was barricaded off. I share this because the Bronx River's restoration is one of New York City's greatest environmental success stories. It's also one of the greatest environmental success stories, in my opinion, in the entire country. But the fight is not over because the same communities that work to clean the river still face threats from flooding, pollution, and limited access. I share this story to underscore that my community in the Bronx, like so many others around the world, probably have many similarities than we do differences when it comes to environmental justice, taking care of our oceans, and mitigating climate change. Whether you're a small island nation, a big island nation, a big ocean state, or what have you. And that's why it's so important to have gatherings like this to bring us all to the table. So as we open this discussion, I want to be clear about why our voices matter, the voices of our young people matter. Too often, young people are excluded from spaces like this, where decisions are explored and made, even though you will live the longest with the consequences of those actions. I want to see more people, more young leaders like Munab, Nicole, and Yurtzi, youth who take initiative, who uplift their communities and share bold ideas to drive change. I know there are many more amazing leaders in my district, and we must continue to create space for them at decision-making tables and truly listen to their ideas. And in the Bronx, I'll say we have a history of organizing for change. Young people have organized for housing and environmental justice, for education, equity, and for food access. They have pressed policymakers, including myself, to act with urgency. And that same energy is what this moment demands on the global stage. The road from UNOC to COP30 must be guided by youth voices that reflect both the urgency of the climate crisis and the lived realities of communities on the front lines like ours. Your perspectives will shape how leaders respond and determine whether the solutions meet the strength and fairness that this moment requires. Thank you so very much for having me, and I'm so excited for this panel.
Thank you, Emérita. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for Global Kids, organizing and bringing all of our teammates together. I'm going to introduce next our Youth for SDGs scholar. Delia, who was just on board our voyage together with Carice, and also Jody, who's here in the audience. And she is also now interning with Peace Boat US here in our office. All of our interns, by the way, also get a pass to the United Nations. So if there are youth leaders who are interested in learning more about these high-level events and how to participate and engage with governments, we are really excited about encouraging young people to take the stage and have more diplomacy. So thank you so much to all of our youth leaders. And without further ado, I will pass over the microphone to Delia. Following this panel, we have an incredible musical performance as well by Sounds of the Ocean, Joshua Sam Miller, who is here, and a few more partnership announcements. So please stay tuned, and let's give these youth a big round of applause.
Hi, everyone, and Emily, thank you so much for the kind introduction. My name is Delia Glovan. I'm originally from Romania, and I moved here for university, where I'm double majoring in political science and peace and justice studies, and double minoring in diplomacy and theater for social justice. Just a little bit about myself before we start. I recently became interested in disarmament. And so last year I staffed for the Humanitarian Disarmament Forum, and this year I interned for the meeting of state parties to the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. And I was also recently on Peace Boat as a Youth for SDG scholar. And right now I come in front of you as a Peace Boat US youth representative, as just this summer I was on the Caribbean voyage where we went to Jamaica, Panama, Costa Rica, and Mexico. And as you may ask yourselves, or at least I hope you do, what happens on a Peace Boat voyage? I want to share with you a little bit about my experience on Peace Boat and exactly what we did. First of all, the program takes learning by doing very seriously. Trust me on that one, because we learned and we did a lot. So to start off, in Jamaica, we learned about the different species of mangroves that we later planted. And we went to a Queen conclave that restores the species in an effort to fight overfishing and maintain ecosystem stability. We also had the amazing opportunity to have dinner with the Rastafarian indigenous people who shared with us essential lessons about nature being their ultimate governing body, and about living in harmony with nature and always giving back. So here's also where a piece of decolonization comes in. We learned about Costa Rica's long-lasting peace commitment from a Costa Rican lawyer, and we later hiked in a cloud forest in Monteverde. We participated in a climate change lecture in Panama given by a climate monitoring expert, then woke up early in the morning to see the ship go through the Panama Canal. We visited a turtle conservation center in Mexico, did beach cleanups in Manzanillo, and snorkeled around the coast as a stunning sunset was setting in. So all in all, it was a great experience. And perhaps most importantly, we formed connections for life. I'm not even kidding. I made them promise me we're gonna have a meetup in Romania soon. And we were there intentionally with each other while reinforcing our commitment to ocean conservation and the protection of life both above and underwater, which is also the perfect segue into the next part of the panel, which is introducing our amazing panelists today. So with me are Munab, Carice, Yaretsi, Thomas, my bad, and Michael. And since we have a lot of speakers today, and under 1 minute, please introduce yourselves. Just share with us your name, where you're from, and what motivates you to get involved in climate activism. And then we'll get more in-depth about your amazing work. Cool. We'll start with Munab.
Hello, everyone. I'm Munab. I'm a freshman at York College, and I've been a youth leader with Global Kids for the last 4 years, and I do wish to continue having a good relationship with Global Kids.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Gonzalez. I am a senior in high school, and I go to Bronx Studios School for Writers and Artists in the Bronx. And something that connected me to climate change and how to better it is helping the animals around my communities in the big body of water and how we're ruining it and how we can fix it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yaretsi Vargas. I am a junior at the Renaissance Charter School, and I've been with Global Kids for their Environmental Justice Spring Institute and Summer Institute. And what motivates me to be involved is basically seeing how our environment has been throughout the years, throughout the decades, and how it has affected us as people.
Hi everyone, my name is Carice Elliott. I come from the Caribbean, a beautiful twin island federation called St. Kitts and Nevis, and I'm a policy officer and I'm also a sustainable fashion designer. What motivates me, I would say, is how simple or easy it is to play a role in this climate space. It can be something as simple as being a sustainable fashion designer or just picking up trash off of the floor. Literally, it's that easy. And I'm also willing to learn. One of my mantras is remain teachable always. So that's what motivates me, I'll say.
Hi, everyone. My name is Thomas Guest. I'm a born and raised New York City kid, so shout out to anyone else in that category. I grew up in Washington Heights in Upper Manhattan. I'm passionate about New York, but I'm also passionate as a New Yorker about being a global citizen, right? So I love traveling, seeing new parts of the world, and then helping people get started on what they're excited about doing, right? I think I learned a lot and struggled a lot with step one, being a young person, finding funding, figuring out who I could trust, who to bounce ideas off of. So this is all sort of a part of a new initiative that we're building. We're trying to get 30 locally led, community-led projects out into the world by 2030. So 30 projects by 2030, all youth and community-led.
Thank you so much, everyone, for the amazing introductions. I will start with Munab. I know you attended COP29. So I want to ask you, can you share with us some specific lessons you learned during COP29 and how attending shaped your understanding of global climate challenges?
So when I attended COP29, first, it was in a country that I kind of didn't know even existed, Baku, Azerbaijan. Great place. Great place. Some things that I've learned there that I didn't know before is some new terms like carbon taxing and carbon credit. I've tried to research these topics prior to flying to Baku. However, I just couldn't understand it as well. But when I actually got there, I started speaking to people from all over the world. I started learning about troubles and problems that they faced in their countries. And then I started to understand more of their perspectives of how climate change really affects the world. And was that your question or? Yeah.
That was my question, yes. Okay, oh, you can keep that one, yeah. Okay, we will go on with Carice. Carice, you just attended the last Youth for SDG Scholar program with me, so I'm really happy to see you here. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a Youth for SDG Scholar?
Okay, so you said 1 minute? Just 1 minute? Okay. I would definitely say it was an experience. As I mentioned, I hail from the Caribbean, a small island developing state. And one of the issues that we have is trying to find ourselves in this space. There are a lot of people who are from the global north, global south, but then there's also the issue of trying to find a space and trying to find our voices in this space. I would say that the program afforded me the opportunity to be amongst like-minded individuals. It's a case where I study political science and law. I'm a fashion designer. And I also am a Blue Planet Alliance Global Youth Ambassador, which means that they deal with renewable energy. However, this program taught me about life on land and life below water. It taught me to face my fears. I went snorkeling. I live on an island, but I've never snorkeled before. It also showed me different perspectives. I was able to be amongst the Rastafarians in Jamaica, and I can say that I definitely align myself with their ideologies. My Rastafarian name is Iris, Ras Iris. And I can definitely say that it's an experience within itself. I've been to Panama before, but I've never passed through the Panama Canal. And just to hear the history and the just how passionate everyone is with regards to their country, all of the countries that we visited, all of the history that we learned, everything that we learned. It was just amazing. And as Delia rightfully said, we created a bond because we realized that we're youths. We have to look out for each other in this space. Some of us were from small island developing states. Some of them were from the US. But it's a case where we all have our own various issues that we want to target. And we can only do this by coming together and having a cohesive mindset. So just to wrap up, what I learned from Peace Boat Youth for SCG is I'm never alone. And it's a case where I can always find like-minded individuals in this space. It's just for me to put myself out there and face my fears, like snorkeling. And yes, so thank you for that.
Oh, you keep the mic because I have another question for you. As you just mentioned, you're also a Blue Planet Alliance ambassador, and you do sustainability work in St. Kitts and Nevis. Can you share with us a little bit about your work, the work that you do?
I should have definitely led with that, guys. I'm a global youth ambassador for Blue Planet Alliance. That's my family. As you mentioned, I do dabble in sustainability, but I think it tends to change every time I come to a different conference. So I started off by being a sustainable fashion designer. Then I was afforded the opportunity to go to the Blue Planet Alliance Fellowship in Hawaii. And then I became passionate about renewable energy because my country is currently transitioning to geothermal energy. So I became passionate about that. As Neon mentioned in his speech before, you know, we hail from an island, we hail from small island developing states, and we've never had the opportunity to be in a room with many of our government officials. The first time I was able to be in a room with one of my government officials was because of Blue Planet Alliance. And from there, we developed a bond. I was able to have a seat at the table going forward. I came with a youth mindset, a community mindset, and a community perspective as well. I also create pieces. So I create carnival wear from scrap material, but I also create bags from scrap material. And I'm an advocate for sustainable fashion. It's literally as simple as wearing a jacket from your mom's closet or reutilizing a brooch that your mom may have, or turning a shirt that your dad have into something chic. So it's that simple, and I'm an advocate for that. And, you know, as I mentioned, I try to remain teachable as always, and I have no doubt as I continue to attend these spaces that my my take on this would definitely change, my passion would definitely change, but I'm just grateful for the opportunity for Peace Boat US and also for Blue Planet Alliance.
Thank you so much, Chris. We will go now to Yaretsi. Yaretsi, we want to know more about you. So tell us, what kind of environmental projects or initiatives have you been involved in, and what impact have they had?
So some of the environmental projects I have been a part of were specifically the ones with Global Kids, with the Environmental Justice Institute and the Spring Institute, where basically we would just dive into the environmental justice. We would make projects, sort of, where we would discover our own neighborhoods and see what are some problems, some advantages that we might have, and some things that we might even want to change for the future and that could benefit us as the people that's living there. And with the Summer Institute, I would always remember how we will all have sort of workshops, and in each workshop we will always be talking about something that could always benefit us as people living in this world, something that could help our environment become better and a more safer place to be in. And something that I'm also very much looking forward to is action projects that we had made throughout our institute, and the action projects that I had made throughout the Spring Institute had also shown me and the members that were also there, like some things that we could reflect on and what we feel like we could do better moving on forward, and something we could even like prevent, like we could stop wasting water when we don't need to. We could stop throwing out trash that isn't recyclable. So like I feel like those type of things have impacted me as a person, knowing that there's all these problems that we as people might even be the problem of. So we just had to reflect on what we could help with our environment.
Thank you so much, Yaretsi. I will go to Thomas right now. You are the founder of BRIME. So can you share with us a little bit about BRIME and tell us how young people help to encourage partnerships with the private sector for a renewable energy future?
Sure. Yeah. So BRIM is a global youth-led coalition of people that, understand that the way that things are set up right now are not the way that they should be set up right now, and are willing to do something about it. Right? It's a very rare combination, right? You understand global systems, you understand global neoliberal capitalism is something we should talk about, and that needs to change. And then you got to figure out who is doing what, where. And as someone who's from New York, I was bouncing around couches. I've been to 30 countries in the last 4 years, doing interviews with young people, figuring out what types of challenges are out there. But then instead of me from New York coming in and saying, hey, I have an idea, it's, hey, what are your top 3 ideas, right? So we formed what we call our global working group, which is a group now of 22, 23 young people. So we frame that as 18 to 35 as the UN decided. But really that whole program, the global working group, is, for example, Neon is in this group. He had an idea for a project in Trinidad. He was able to come pitch it, but then he had to work with at least one person in the group that was from a different part of the world on sculpting that idea, right? So that there was this exchange. But then Neon was able to present, a program and pitch it and receive a grant. And we call this our Get Started grant. So we gave out our first 3 this year, which was a big process, and it was also exactly when USAID had been discontinued. So I was, by any means necessary, like zelling people, like sending Western Union transfers, right? Like any way to get money out the door, and into the hands of people like Neon, who had ideas where they were, that weren't led by me, but Neon might have questions for me or for someone else outside of Trinidad. So it's this combination of an incubator of ideas, kind of like you guys were working on, we just started our initial peace fund, Fund for Peace and Sustainable Worlds this year. And we're trying to get to 30 projects by 2030 that we support through this model. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I will now go to our last speaker for today that I'm really happy to introduce, Michael. And my question for you is, do you think youth have the power to influence policy or corporate behavior that impact our climate? And if so, how have you seen this happen?
I do believe youth have... Wait, can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Don't worry about it. Do you think youth have the power to influence policy or corporate behavior that impact our climate? And if so, how have you seen it happen?
I do believe they do have the power to help with the corporate and stuff like that. So when I was in the Summer Institute, I had went on a trip to Washington, D.C. with Yoretzi for a day. And we were able to ask our official workers that work inside the White House questions on how they're helping benefit our communities and how they're gonna help fix like gun violence or anything around us, and how it jeopardized our like health or even animals' health or even like the environment we're in. So me being able to ask those questions was like, okay, they're easy to ask and they're easy to speak to. So it's like even with some of our ambassadors, they're easier to get in touch with, even by email or anything like that. So I believe me being able to speak to them is easier, and I think any youth can do it.
Love that. Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you so much to everyone who was here today. Thank you so much to you guys to our amazing speakers for this inspiring panel, and thank you so much to everyone who attended on this panel on how to cleverly and creatively overcome climate challenges, and to learn from young people about youth involvement in climate work. So thank you so much. I hope you're feeling as energized as I am right now. And yeah, please enjoy the last part of our event.